the intergalactic law enforcement unit, had arrested countless criminals across the galaxy, smugglers, warlords, and even rebel leaders, but this time they had captured something far more mundane, an old human man walking alone on a remote planet in the neutral zone was apprehended during a routine patrol. The arresting officers, members of the imposing Vector species, thought it would be a simple matter. Humans were unremarkable in their eyes, fragile, weak, and short-lived. The old man was taken into custody aboard the Zelen, a highly secure Vector warship. He was silent as they bound his hands and led him into the holding cell. The Vector officers barely gave him a second glance, seeing only a wrinkled, frail human past his prime, but as they interrogated him they noticed something unsettling. Name the Vector captain, growled the old man. Smiled gently. James, occupation, retire. The captain's eyes narrowed. What were you doing wandering in restricted space? James shrugged. Just passing through. Thought I'd take a walk. The captain wasn't amused. You're lying. We scan the area. There are no ships, no beacons. You couldn't have gotten there on foot. Who are you really? The old man's smile widened, but he said nothing. The silence dragged on, and an uncomfortable tension filled the room. Hours passed, and the Vector office ERS grew frustrated. They interrogated James, demanded answers, even threatened him, but the human never flinched. He remained calm, almost amused, as if he knew something they didn't. Then the ship's security system started acting strange. Lights flickered, doors malfunctioned, and communication lines were disrupted. At first the Vector thought it was a glitch, but the disruptions became more frequent. More precise cameras in the holding cell suddenly cut out when they were restored. Moments later James was no longer seated. He was standing at the center of the room, looking directly into the camera. With a knowing smile, something's not right, the captain muttered to his officers. Get him into maximum security now. As they moved to transfer the old man, they realized the gravity of their mistake the moment they unshackled his hands. The ship's alarms blared. External weapon systems were suddenly online and targeting the Zelen on itself. James turned to the officers escorting him and said calmly, you should probably let me go. Panic spread through the crew as the ship systems were hijacked. Security feeds showed drones outside the ship powering up, and the entire vessel began to lose control. The Vector officers rushed to the bridge only to discover that every console had been overridden by an unknown force. The captain's eyes widened in horror. How? James, still in the holding cell, simply strolled out. He walked through the ship's corridors, unharmed, as if the entire vessel now obeyed him. The alien crew tried to stop him, but each time they approached, the doors sealed shut or the gravity fluctuated, leaving them helpless. By the time James reached the bridge, the captain was waiting, a weapon drawn. Who are you? The captain snarled, his hands trembling. Are you doing this? James looked around the bridge, then at the captain. You arrested me without knowing who I was. That was your first mistake. The captain's hand tightened on his weapon. What are you? The old man sighed. I'm retired, remember, but once upon a time I was a fleet admiral of Earth's Special Warfare Division. My job was to dismantle fleets just like this one. The captain paled. The stories of Earth's Special Warfare Division were legendary, though many believed they were exaggerated. These humans, those who had survived the war of the galaxy, were said to possess unparalleled tactical genius, and their fleet admirals were rumored to be capable of crippling entire armies with minimal resources. But James was supposed to be just an old man. How can you control the ship? The captain whispered, his fear evident. James chuckled. Oh, this, let's just say I have a few friends still out there. Drones, old ship systems I once worked with. They recognized me, and as for your ship, well, it's not as secure as you thought. Suddenly the ship's engines roared to life. The Zelen's navigation system was no longer under Vector control. James casually walked over to the captain's console and tapped a few buttons. The entire ship shifted course, heading straight for the nearest vector command center. Now listen closely, James said, his voice calm but commanding. You're going to return me to where you found me. If you don't, I'll send this ship crashing into your home base and wipe out half your fleet. The captain, now sweating, stammered. You can't do this. James leaned in closer, his eyes sharp and dangerous. I already have. The Zelen was forced to change course and drop James off at the exact location they had arrested him as. The old human calmly walked back into the wilderness. The Vector crew watched in disbelief. Their ship, their pride, had been hijacked by a single old man with no visible weapons, no ship of his own, and no parent plan. As the Zelron sped away, one of the officers turned to the captain, still shaken. Well, what do we do now? The captain stared at the empty spot where James had vanished and whispered, "We never speak of this again. All